Baik, mohon maaf, saya coba ulangi. Tes 1 2, tes. Boleh yang ini ekonya dikecilkan sedikit? Ini nih, yang hitam. Oke, sedikit lagi, boleh? Sepertinya udah pas kemarin. Tes, 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 tes 1 2. Oke, pakai ini aja. Tapi ini kecil ya, Bapak. Maksudnya masuk nggak ke Zoom yang ini? Tes 1, tes 1 2. Oke, ini aja. Udah. Baik. Baik, mohon perhatian para hadirin sekalian. Kita akan memulai acara kita pagi hari ini. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Good morning,
wabarakatuh.
everyone. Greetings to all of us here. With the mercy of Allah and salawah to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We can attend here with in healthy condition at the hall of Dr. Mr. Teguh Haji Muhammad Hasan, Universitas Rambi Mekah, to join together in the international conference today. And we would say to all of us, welcome to the 6th International Conference on Multidisciplinary Research 2023, Universitas Rambi Mekah. And today, our theme is advanced technology in solving problem, contemporary, multidisciplinary issues toward a sustainable and inclusive future. Firstly, we want to say to our honorable, for the head of Serambi Mekah Development Foundation, Insinyur Teguh Iskandar Shah, welcome in our conference, and our honorable director of Universitas Serambi Mekah, Dr. Teguh Abdurrahman Ishaq SPN, welcome in our conference, and for all vice rectors who attend this morning, Vice Rector 1, Dr. Muslim Daud MAD, Vice Rector 2, Insinyur Haji Teguh Makmur MSA, and Vice Rector 3, Dr. Hambali, Vice Rector 4, Dr. Jalaluddin. Thank you for your attend this morning and welcome in our conference. And honorable from LL Dikti Wilayah 13 Aceh, Bapak Dr. Insinyur Rizal Mudadi MMMT, or represented by Bapak Zainal Abidin. Sorry, I forgot your title. All right. And the next, not forget to our great keynote speakers today. And let me introduce to our keynote speaker this morning. The first is Dovlin MBA, MPhil, PhD from University of Southern California, USA. And he joined by the Zoom virtual today. The second keynote speaker is Professor Susan Ledger from University of Newcastle, Australia. Welcome, all of you. And the next keynote speaker is Associate Prof. Dr. Azimatun Nur Aizuddin from University Kebangsaan Malaysia, Malaysia. And the fourth keynote speaker is Dr. Eka Maria Mistar STMT from Universitas Rambi Mekah, Indonesia. And the fifth keynote speaker today is Associate Prof. Gangaraju Geda from Nite University, India. And the last one is Dr. Dipon Kotata, King Mongkut University of Technology, Thonburi from Thailand. So let's give applause for all keynote speakers today who will share their knowledge for us here. And applause also for Dr. Abu Bakar as the head of Research and Community Service Department, Universitas Islam Mekah. As information today, this conference is organized by the head of Research and Community Service Department, Universitas Islam Mekah. And we want to say welcome also for all dean and all head of department and senior lecturer, young lecturer, and all participants here who can't we mention one by one. Thank you for your attend this morning. Welcome in our conference. And lastly, for all committee, great teamwork, and we are here today. Thank you so much. Especially for Miss Rini Sulastri as the committee chairperson. Thank you for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, before we come to the main session, let us hear firstly reciting Al-Quran so that the event that we hold this day will be blessed Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. To Miftahul Razak, the student from Islamic Religion Faculty, we place you.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله. وتلك الأمثال نضربها للناس لعلهم يتفكرون. هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة. هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب الغيب والشهادة عالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم. صدق الله العظيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Thank you for Mr. Miftahul Razak. And the next session is singing National Anthem of Indonesia Raya and Hymne Aceh, guided by Nurma, the student from Agricultural Technology Faculty. For all participants, please stand up.
Emang nggak ada suara.
Aceh kenebah raja sidang bila bangsa mulia roh mulia dum syuhada metuah bijak Aceh mulia. Ya Tuhanku, rahmat sampai di Aceh yang mulia. Rahmat lipat dua asal mereka kamu sejahtera. Sabeda jaga Aceh mulia. Kaden Aceh melimpah bagong Bisa berpakat, sabonyo meneman syariat Islam ke hukum bangsa. Ya Tuhanku, rahmat sampai di Acehnya mulia. Rahmat limpah dua asal mereka bersejahtera. Jadi semua Sabita jaga Aceh mulia. Jadi semua Sabita jaga Aceh mulia.
Thank you, Nurma, and have a seat, please. I want to say hello for all participants by virtual. We hope you are all in healthy condition and possible to join this conference till finish. And for all keynote speakers, can't wait at the moment you share your knowledge to us today. And the next session is welcoming remark by the committee chairperson of the SIG ICMR, Dr. Rini Sulastri MPD. Time.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Good morning our honorable keynote speakers, distinguished guests, presenter and participants. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to welcome to all of you to the 6th International Conference on Multidisciplinary Research organized by Universitas Serambi Mekah. I'm very pleased that this year we can organize an international conference again. Alhamdulillah, thanks to Allah, because of His blessing, grace, and mercies, we can attend this event together in an excellent condition and health. I would also like to express my deepest appreciation to our honorable keynote speaker from 6 different countries. Professor Susan Ledger from University of Newcastle, Australia, Dolin, PhD from University of Southern California, USA, Associate Professor Dr. Azimatun Nur Aizuddin from University Kebangsaan Malaysia, Malaysia, Associate Professor Dr. Gangaraju Gedda from Nite University, India, Dr. Ditpon Kotata from King Mongkut University of Technology Thonburi, Thailand, and the last Eka Mariamistar PhD from Universitas Serambi Mekah, Indonesia. I would also like to thank the head of LLDT or the representative today, the head of Yayasan Pembangunan Serambi Mekah, Insinyur Teguh Iskandar Syah, Rektor of Universitas Mekah, Dr. Teguh Abdurrahman SH, SPN, Vice Rector 1, Muslim Daud, PhD, Vice Rector 2, Insinyur Teguh Makmur, MSI, Vice Rector 3, Dr. Hambali, and Vice Rector 4, Dr. Jalaluddin. The Head of Research and Community Service, Dr. Abu Bakar, MSI, Deans, Vice Dean, and all structural leaders that I cannot mention one by one. I would like to take this opportunity to immensely thank all of the committee member for their hard work, commitment, and dedication in organizing this conference. Alhamdulillah, in the 6th international conference this year, we received 65 papers and 150 participants who come from different parts of Indonesia, such as Kalimantan, Sumatra, Java, and Sulawesi, and also overseas such as Malaysia, USA, Australia, and India, and also China, from China. Alhamdulillah, we are very proud because this conference was attended by presenter directly, especially from Malaysia, Bandung, and Medan. Welcome to Universitas Rambi Mekah. Okay, the themes of this year conference is advanced technology in solving contemporary multidisciplinary issues toward a sustainable and inclusive future. As we know, the rapid development of technology requires us as academic to be able to adapt to these changes and to support sustainable development goals to support sustainable development goal of the world and every nation in every sector of life. To survive, collaboration are highly needed and encouraged to address the challenges. Thus, through this event, we attempt to connect researchers, scholars, and the public from various disciplines to allow ideas exchange to find solutions to current problems. It is also with great pleasure that we announce we have received a number of interesting papers from various fields of study. I believe that everyone will take advantage of this event to broaden their insights and knowledge. Finally, I wish all the best to the speakers, presenter, participant, and committee member. Enjoy the conference and have a nice day. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Rini, for the nice welcome. And the next session is welcoming remark by the Rector of Universitas Rambi Mekah, represented by Bapak Muslim PhD MAD, and also open this conference officially. We please you, sir.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Honorable Representative of Education Office Regional 13, Honorable the Head of YPSM, Honorable Director of Universitas Rambi Mekah, however, he is on duty outside the campus, and therefore I come by his order to represent him today. Honorable the head of LPPM, Honorable the head of Quality Control, LPM, Honorable the head of Bureau, the deans, Vice Dean, and the head of department, all lecturers, students, and all committees who prepare this event from weeks and weeks ago and got 65 presenters, and this is extraordinarily very good, where they are coming to share with us. And of course, special thanks and Honorable Professor Susan from Australia, and Professor Lin from USA, Professor Azimatun from Malaysia, and Professor Ganga Raju from India, and Professor Ditpun from Thailand, and Professor Eka Maria from our university, Universitas Serambi Mekah. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, today we are all very happy where we can hold this 6th international conference. We started this conference from 2015, directed also by the head of Research and Community Service Institute, that is Professor Abu Bakar. And today his turn again, come back and to make this international conference far better and bigger. Of course, before I forget, allow me to send you best regard from our rector because he is on duty. Send all regard to you by Assalamu alaikum from him. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, this 6th international conference is very important for us in a way to discuss the technology interference on our duty life. Like you all aware that we have 6 faculties here. Why don't we use this technology, advanced technology, how to preach Islam in far a better way using technology and make everyone more tolerate to others. That is can be done by Faculty of Religious or Faculty of Islam 5. We have economic faculty. We use the economic things, embedding in technology so we can run the commerce, promotion of economic far better and quicker. We have agriculture faculty. We can use that, how to make the soil more fertilized using technology. Can we do that? Of course we can. How to do that? Doing research. We also have Faculty of Technology. We use the computer, advanced computer, how to develop other devices by using the advanced technology. We also have FKM. What is FKM in English? We say environmental health. Yes, a lot of nyamuk-nyamuk. Why don't we use something not only to burn something, obat nyamuk dibakar? That is very dangerous to us. So we can use advanced technology. What I found in a lot of supermarket, they insert something and then something also burns using chemical thing. Could be this is not very healthy. We can use other thing. Yeah. How to do that? This is what we need to research. And therefore, I am very happy when hearing this international event conducted today. And the next year will be the 7th international conference on multidisciplinaries. Of course, we want to have something here. And therefore, to keep something, we need online journal. Yes, we have also. And I got the information from Dr. Jalaluddin. By the next year, we have postgraduate program. So our a field will be open and can be deeper. Of course, it's supported by a laboratory and also other references from our library. Let's say congratulations for us. We have postgraduate pasca sarjana by the next year. Inshallah, this will open us more opportunity. And of course, there is Professor Abu Bakar, billion of rupiah can be achieved. But don't forget, there is Pak Zainal, representative of LLDT, make proposal better than before. Inshallah, the help, the fund will come to us and we can make something better, bigger, and of course, to support this humankind living better and also other aspect of life. Ladies and gentlemen, to shorten our my speech today, that I would like to ask all of you to use this good opportunity to listen, to hear, and also to share what you have and what the presenters have, so that we can find the best way. Because if one thing right doing research, could be there is something need to be corrected, and therefore we need to share, we need to ask questions. This is what international conference for, not just to come and speak and somebody write on journal and publish, that's it. No, we need to find the best way, the best way. That's why we need to share. And of course, I'm sure participants today attending here and also online, sure, will use the best opportunity to share and to discuss, to find out the best way of using advanced technology in solving contemporary multidisciplinary issues in what? Towards sustainable and inclusive future. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, I officially open this 6th International Conference on Multidisciplinary Research dated 6 December 2023. May Allah bless us all. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Bapak Muslim Daud PSD. And once more, let's give applause to Bapak Muslim Daud PSD for the nice welcome and open the conference. And the last session is Dua, Miftahul Razak. Time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا شاكرين حمدا ناعمين حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيده. يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك الكريم وعظيم سلطانك. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم أحسن عاقبتنا في الأمور كلها وأجرنا من خزي الدنيا وعذاب الآخرة. اللهم إنك عفو كريم حليم تحب العفو فاعف عنا يا كريم. اللهم إنا نسألك سلامة في الدين وعافية في الجسد وزيادة في العلم وبركة في الرزق وتوبة قبل الموت ورحمة عند الموت ومغفرة بعد الموت. اللهم هون علينا في سكرات الموت ونجاة من النار والعفو عند الحساب. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Thank you, Miftah. Ladies and gentlemen, prayer is the last moment in our ceremonial opening this morning, and the ceremonial opening is done. And let me inform you or remind you, please stay here. And for all of you also who are joining by the Zoom virtual, please stay tuned to front of your camera because we'll go to the main station. We'll meet great keynote speakers soon, guided by Dr. Septia. As a host for today, I would like to apologize the mistake that I did. Lastly, billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. For here and with the keynote speaker or the guest, we have the session photo together. Where Miss Rini? Standing here? Mungkin boleh berdiri di sini Pak, kita ambil dulu foto bersama karena nanti sesinya udah khususan ya.
Bisa.
Silakan Pak Ismail, boleh di sini Pak. Ya, silakan Pak Dr. Rahmadun, Pak Faisal. Maju terus. Muat, sini lagi. Miss, nanti anak cepat gitu.
Cek. 1, 2. Cek.
Silahkan kembali ke tempat. Dipersilahkan dan kepada hadirin semua kita akan memasuki sesi break time untuk beberapa saat sebelum nanti memasuki sesi utama yang akan dipandu oleh Dr. Septia Irnanda. Saya langsung serahkan kepada Dr. Septia Irnanda untuk memandu acara selanjutnya.
Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to the keynote session of the 6th ICMR or International Conference on Multidisciplinary Research organized by Universitas Serambi Mekah, Aceh, Indonesia. My name is Septia and I will be the moderator for today's session. This session will last for approximately 2 hours, starting from now, 10 a.m. until 12 p.m. Jakarta time. There will be 6 keynote talks delivered in this session, 20 minutes each, followed by 10 minutes question and answer. I'd like to remind you audience to please remain muted while the presentation, and if you have questions to address, please keep them until the question and answer session provided at the end of each presentation. The manner of addressing a question is you should introduce your name and your institution, and you should state or address your questions
clearly and briefly. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll be hearing a set of presentations from 6 keynote speakers on the subject of advanced technology in solving contemporary multidisciplinary issues toward a sustainable and inclusive future. The role of technology in our life cannot be overstated, as the world we live today is full of problems and challenges. We are to face issues such as war, climate change, gender equality, health, education, unemployment, low quality of education output, low quality of research output, exclusivity in education, in workplaces, and many others. Therefore, we are very pleased to have 6 keynote speakers from well-known institutions around the world here who join us both virtually and physically to discuss and provide us insights on this very timely topic. Now, moving along to our session, I'd like to please our first presenter. So our first presenter is Doe Lynch, MBA, MPhil, PhD from the University of Southern California, the United States. Dr. Lynch is a senior fellow in Rosier School of Education, University of Southern California. He was also Vice Dean for the Graduate School of Education from 2004 until 2012. And he also was a senior policy advisor for the Fels Institute of Government, University of Pennsylvania. And there are many other positions that he had, he was trusted to. And there are also publications and articles, awards. Maybe I would like to mention 1 or 2 from the awards. So he was the receiver of Telly Awards in 2011 and U.S. Department of Commerce Presidential E Award for Innovation in 2002 and HR Executive Top 10 Awards. So we are very lucky to have Dr. Lynch, to give us insight today. So I'd like to please Dr. Doe Lynch for the 20 minutes presentations. Dr. Lynch, time is yours.
Thank you. Do you want me to share my screen or will you all be able to share my slides? What's easier for you?
Perhaps it would be easier if you can share it from your
I will.
place. Is it possible?
Yes. Yep. Can you see my slides?
Yes. Yes.
Great.
Great.
Well, first I have to say Salam alaikum, I think is how you say it. I'm very thank you. I'm delighted and honored to be with you. And I think that it's appropriate and interesting that I get to go first because I'm going to talk to you about learning. And I'm going to argue that any of the problems that you want to tackle in terms of using technologies for a sustainable, inclusive future have a learning component to them. Whether it's theology or agriculture or economic development, they're all people problems. And learning is at the core of all these problems we face as a society. And, you know, we've all lived through COVID, and we know that in some ways we have some signals that there is the potential for using technologies to make learning sustainable and inclusive for everyone. And I want to be clear about what I mean by technologies. So all a technology is, at least I'm an economist by training, and all we think of when we think of technology is that they're tools that make things either better or easier or cheaper. So by that definition, Indonesia, which has something like 700 languages, is at the forefront of learning technologies because learning, or rather language, is a learning technology. It was invented by humans, and it certainly aids in learning. So I want us to think ecumenically when we're talking about sort of what we mean by technology to facilitate learning. And why learning? Well, it turns out, so again, I'm an economist, and economists love learning because it doesn't get any better. Like if there's anything that we could do, if we could get learning right and make it inclusive and sustainable for all peoples, it's what we call a perfect good. So what does that mean? It means that the individual, she herself becomes more productive, makes more money, her family benefits from that. There's a lot of research that says that health outcomes improve, civil engagement improves, communities get better, countries grow. There's really no downside to double downing, if we could, on this idea of improving learning for everyone. So as my colleagues, as she was going through my CV and sort of talking about, the basic thing is that I'm old. And I've been at this a very long time. I think, so when I won that US presidential award, I testified before the UN and Congress, this is like 25 years ago, about how there was this great new technology that was going to make learning sort of accessible for everyone in the world, and it was going to be this great revolution. And the image here is of Sisyphus. So in Greek mythology, Sisyphus is the poor fellow who has to roll the rock up the hill. And every time he almost gets the rock to the top of the hill, the rock rolls back down. He has to start all over again. So I feel a little bit as one of the people who I've been involved in, let's call it learning innovation for 30 years. And I'm one of the people who started e-learning, and I've built the 3 largest education technology incubators in the United States. So I've kind of seen it all a million times. And I have to say, now that I'm an old man, that I feel that it's the same as it ever was. And that kind of breaks my heart. So sometimes what's useful is trying to frame a problem to understand why we are so bad at this. And because I'm going to argue that the current state of learning is exclusive, it is not sustainable, and it is not scalable. It's almost antithetical to what we would want, even though we have ample technologies out there that could facilitate in making learning inclusive, sustainable, and scalable. So why is that? Well, in economics, we have these things called production functions, and this is the Douglas here one shown to you. And you can think of it like a recipe for cooking a meal. And really the question is, what goes into the making of learning? Because if we could specify that correctly and understand all the elements that go into it, we might be able to reimagine it. And I think the mistake, and it's one that all of us are guilty of as sort of faculty at universities, is that we have the wrong production function. And our model is, I was just sitting the other day in Kazakhstan having a meal with a colleague from Oxford. And he was bragging to me about how wonderful Oxford is because it's one-on-one teaching. And what I said is like, well, yes, but think about it in terms of inclusivity, sustainability, and scalability. It's impossible to become a professor at Oxford that gets sort of some of the best professors in the world. And it's impossible to be a student at Oxford to get some of the best, smartest, hardest working learners in the world. So you take great professors and great students, and then you teach them one-on-one, and guess what happens? It works pretty well. But that's not scalable. And it's not just because of the sort of number of faculty and students, but not all faculty are the same, and not all students are the same. And we have to factor that in to our thinking if we're going to come up with a different way of doing this. We do have models that tell us that we can actually scale with improved quality. So again, our model, at least in the United States, is a scarcity model. To be a good university, you don't want anyone to come to your university, right? So you want everybody in the world to apply to your university, and you don't want to admit anybody because that makes you the top-ranked university. And that is a model of scarcity. But from this image here, so the one image is of somebody who decided to build their own car, and the other one is a Mercedes manufacturing plant. And I'm going to argue to you that in this instance, the bespoke model of a one-off car versus a wide-scale manufacturing of car, the wide-scale manufacturing is actually better quality. So we do have examples of production functions where we can see scale with not only the same quality, but we can see scale with increased quality. And so the question becomes, why can't we do this in learning? And I think going back to this idea of the production function, it's because we have what are called specification errors. We're not thinking about what goes into the recipe, how to make that learning meal. And it's because the people deciding it are people like us, professors. I'm going to give you an analogy. So it's, again, this brave new world. I live in Philadelphia. I'm a professor in California, and I'm talking to you all in Indonesia. So we're USC. It's sort of a pretty famous university. It's probably best known for its movies. You all have probably heard of Steven Spielberg or George Lucas. You know, we're pretty good at sort of cranking out people who make movies, and this is home to Hollywood. But think about what Hollywood is and how it produces the product that we think of as a movie. Well, when they were starting off, they assumed that all you needed to do was find good content, i.e. a good play or script, and film the play. So you take Shakespeare and you put a camera at the back of the stage and you film it. And what we know is that is rarely as good as the live version. It is derivative of the live version. And it took filmmakers a while to really reimagine the medium and realize that while there are some constraints in making movies because it's asynchronous, it is not synchronous, it actually gives us lots of affordances. We can play with point of view. We can play with time. We can play with all those cool special effects and make things that aren't even real appear real. That would be very hard to do live. So what we need, in a way, is a reimagining of the production function of learning in the same way that Hollywood reimagined sort of the making of sort of synchronous entertainment. The other thing is it's very hard for experts to sit down and think about this beforehand. So building on the Hollywood analogy, I'm sure you all have heard of Bollywood. And when the Hollywood folks were starting out, nobody imagined that they would sort of take the formula of a Hollywood movie and reimagine it as sort of a musical done in Hindi, or that it's totally different. It's sort of the same technology reimagined for a different context. So what am I trying to say with all of this? Well, we collectively suffer from hubris, and we suffer from myopia because we think content is king. So putting aside the use of advanced technologies, I have 4 degrees in economics, and no one once ever thought to try and tell me how to teach economics. It was just assumed that once I became fluent in economics, I could teach economics. And what the research tells us is that this works pretty well for students who are inclined to want to learn economics or like economics. But for average students, it's kind of a recipe for disaster. So we have this whole system that's built on scarcity, where we think that the only thing that matters is the professor and the content. I'm going to give you an example. So this is in press right now, but this is I did a randomized controlled trial looking at the rollout of AI with learning in a corporate setting. So randomized controlled trials, sort of this is a company that had about 6,000 employees, and we randomly sort of assigned people to either use the AI or not use the AI. And we did this research technique called a matched pairs, where we matched on job function and geography, assuming that somebody with the same job function has the same education level roughly, and that geography would sort of account for things like languages. So what does this tell us? So all of these were statistically significant. The AI significantly outperformed the non-AI in terms of knowledge increase, so pre and post test, double basically. The average time went down. So people learned more in less time. And when asked about their perception, so again, what I measured was knowledge, behavior, and perception, they liked it more. So this sounds like a great story, right? So more learning, less time, and they liked it more. The problem was nobody wanted to use the new technology. So the old technology was 3 times more likely to be sort of started than the new technology. And again, this was the hubris of the company, just saying, well, everybody's jumping on the AI bandwagon, we should just use AI without really sort of thinking it through. Okay, so now I've talked to you about the fact that all of us experts are problematic, and we're trying to sort of orchestrate learning in really symphonic ways. Well, what if we went punk? Because another thing that technology allows us to do is democratize learning. Anybody now can make a movie with one of these. There's an American sort of director named Sofia Coppola. She's the daughter of Francis Ford Coppola. She's made award-winning movies on her iPhone. So isn't it reasonable to assume then all we need to do to make things sustainable and inclusive is just give everybody an iPhone and let everybody create content? Well, I'm sorry to say that that is as bad, if not worse, idea than the symphonic approach. We have ample evidence that lots of people create things that are factually incorrect, that are just as badly designed as if they were designed by professors. And so we now just have more bad stuff available to people rather than well-designed things. So the questions become, are we doomed? Is there nothing that we can do? Again, we know enough about learning science, about how people learn, and we understand that there are ways of improving learning. Are there things that we can do? So this is another study that I did, rolling things out. And again, this was the use of adaptive learning. And, traditional seat class time controls for time. So everybody gets the same dose of learning. Let's call it an hour lecture. And you have wide variance in outcomes. Some students are bored to tears, some are tracking perfectly, and some are totally confused. And in this study I did with 4 different courses, what we found is we lowered the variance considerably on learning, i.e. everybody mastered the content. But what we sort of allowed to vary was time. So if you look at this, in one course, it took some students under 19 minutes to master the content, and other students 615 minutes to master the content. So there are ways in which we can design things to really reimagine. There's just not a lot of it going on. So I think what we need to do is to borrow an American art form, is not be symphonic and try just letting the professors orchestrate everything, but to certainly not be punk and just put it in the hands of people who don't know anything, but instead kind of be jazzy. What this means is at universities and schools, there's very few experiments in some ways because the risks are too high. We don't want to try something on kids that doesn't work, but this stifles innovation. And our universities spend a lot of time preparing professors who are sort of trained in science, learning sciences, and we really need more people building learning, who understand how to build learning. So more engineers, if you will, and fewer scientists. And we have to really begin to reimagine where people learn, how people learn, when they learn. Because right now we still largely think of learning sort of happening in sort of very focused, formalized ways. Thank you for your attention.
Well, thank you very much for a very informative presentation, Dr. Lynch. Would like to, can you give applause to Dr. Lynch for the presentation? You got a really great points and about technology, and I mostly agree with everything you said, especially about how we adore content above everything and how we always get trapped in being quantity over quality all the times. We are opening question and answer session for this first session. Sorry, for the first speaker. So, do you have any questions? Anyone online, you can just type your questions in the chat box.
Doug, I'd love to look at your RCTs in an educational context down here in Australia. I'd love to sort of catch up after this. Thought your presentation was fabulous. My too is going to be focused on learning. It's essential.
Great.
Happy to share. It's in the peer review process at the moment, but
Right.
happy to share shortly.
Excellent. Thank you.
Dr. Lynch, I have a question for you if you don't mind. You mentioned that although technology helped us in significantly, from your statistic, you show that the increased time of learning, and also like AI can also perform like much better than non-AI. And then it's really interesting that, but the ironic part is many of people do not start technology. Is that what you mean? Sorry if I captioned what you said wrong.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. So I'm sure Susan's had the same experience. I have seen, again, I set up the 3 most successful education technology incubators in the United States. So I've kind of seen everything. And there are amazing examples of using technologies for learning, whether it's virtual reality, augmented reality, various forms of AI. But your average classroom for your average learner looks the same as it did roughly 120 years ago. And for most people, they don't have access to a lot of technologies. And quite frankly, when most people are designing for technologies that could scale, like building learning on your phone, they don't follow the Hollywood analogy that I was making. They make it derivative. They film a lecture, for example. And that's not going to be as effective. I mean, one lecturing is not particularly effective as a format, but it's never going to be as effective as it could be face-to-face. Whereas you could reimagine, given the affordances that watching it asynchronously would do. So I think it's a how problem that we're so bad at collectively. And then I think it's an implementation problem where we're just not really thinking through how we roll these things out at scale. I mean, just think about in Indonesia with, you're so distributed geographically with all your islands. What would it look like to sort of do that effectively when you've got how many languages? Sort of several hundred languages, and you've got sort of thousands of islands. What does it look like to sort of design learning where it would meet the learner where she's at, when she's at, with exactly what she needs to take her to maximize her potential as a human being? We ought to be able to do that, but we're not. We're just not.
Yes. All right, Dr. Lynch, that's really true, because I also teach, and I can feel that a huge gap between technology, the technology and the learning. What I mean is sometimes I want my students to not rely on technology. So I teach English. I want them not to rely on Google Translate or something like that, but it's very accessible to them. And it's impossible for me to stop them from using them, but I want them to rely on my materials and everything, and it's really hard. I mean, like they still gonna go to the easier way, so it's kind of challenging.
Oh yeah.
Perhaps you can comment a little bit on it, and I mean, like how to solve such problem.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is to recognize that there's probably no going back, and to figure out how to weave it effectively into your classroom. So think about, I worked at the College Board, which is an American testing company, a long time ago when they were first talking about calculators. I don't know if there's anybody else old enough to remember when they were introducing calculators, but there was a big question about if kids use calculators to do mathematics, it's cheating, and therefore we should not allow them to use calculators. Well, fast forward, 40 years, and now you can take any of those tests with a calculator. And I think it was just a recognition that it's here. And then how do you redesign the learning where you can leverage the fact that they can Google and use Google Translate for things?
Thank you very much, Dr. Lynch. All right, ladies and gentlemen, would like to proceed to our next presenter. So we have Professor Susan Ledger from University of Newcastle, Australia. So let me read briefly Professor Ledger's biography. So Professor Susan Ledger is Head of School, Dean of Education at University of Newcastle. She is a dedicated educator, researcher, and advocate for the teaching profession who has a passion for connecting people, places, and projects. Susan has had a range of educational experiences in both primary, secondary, and tertiary settings around the globe, and her recent publications explore how rural and international fields of study complement and compete with each other. There are so quite a lot, high numbers of experiences of Professor Ledger, and perhaps I will read a few. So Professor Ledger was awarded a few awards along the years. So some of them are exemplary practice. So the award for exemplary practice for professional experience. And this one is interesting. She was an Australian Rural Educators. She won Australian Rural Educators Award for University School Partnerships, and also awards for excellence in pre-service teacher supports. So yeah, we're really glad to have you, Professor Ledger. I hope you enjoy the opening ceremony earlier, and I'd like to give 20 minutes time for you. Thank you very much.
Terima kasih banyak ya. Assalamualaikum. Selamat pagi semuanya. Nama saya Bu Su Ledger dari University Newcastle, Australia. Sudah lama sejak saya bicara bahasa, so saya mau minta maaf atas itu ya. I will continue in English rather than Indonesian. So I'm really pleased to be here today. First of all, I'd like to, sorry. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge the country in which I am on today and acknowledge the elders past, present and emerging from our Indigenous mob here in Newcastle. I'd also like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of your lands of USM and pay my respect to elders and leaders within the community throughout Indonesia. I want to say to Doug, my focus is on learning as well today, and all of the insights that you just provided, I absolutely agree. I think we're coming from the same cut from the same cloth, and it might have something to do with age and wisdom in the scope of education. Look, I'm going to focus today on technological development, solving multidisciplinary problems from a global perspective through to a local one. But I want to focus on learning and the domains of learning, which we often forget about because we are so caught up in this content-driven, no matter what courses we are doing, we want to cover the content. We don't look at the other elements, and I hope to bring that out. To put this in a global perspective, and you're talking about multidisciplinary problems, they're highlighted for us by the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And so we here at the University of Newcastle are very attached to this. We rank very highly in number 17, partnerships for the goals, because we are really well connected. But our priority is for quality education and to reduce inequity. It's what we do, underpins what we do. We're a big, very big regional university. We're one of the biggest teacher educator providers. We are the home of energy here, with green energy projects all over the place. And we're looking at submarines, a whole range of different things here, but education is a big focus. We graduate the largest number of Indigenous teachers into the whole of Australia. So we're very proud. This is very committed to that side of things, to the equity thing that you talked about, Doug, hoping that technology would actually bring or decrease that gap. What technology has done, and particularly for developing countries, has actually made that gap extremely wide. And now the gap between haves and have-nots in every aspect of our lives, social, economic, or whatever, is enormous. And we're suffering the consequences as a result of that. So my focus on equity through technology. How do we achieve the equity piece through the technologies that we have? Well, within our School of Education, I'm trying to get it in our learning environments. So we have quite a range of different learning environments. We have a range of different virtual learning environments. And then we use those virtual learning environments and technologies to prepare the teachers to be receivers of technology, but also to create the technologies and the assets to work in their classrooms. So we continue that by focusing on equity, high quality education and equity. Everyone's seen this picture probably 100 times. It's in nearly everyone's course. When we talk about equity, what do we actually mean? Now, if you look at this in society, reality is on the left. Technology has actually made that divide wider. We know within our communities who the wealthy ones are, who the ones that have things are. We have private schools that are taking our students with, money. So the gap between private and public schools is widened. So some people get more than that's needed. Equality, we know that if we give everything the same thing, then it's equal quality. That's not how it works. And Doug, I think some of your comments previously certainly reinforce that. Equity is what we're after, where everyone gets the support they need. And my university is very focused on special and inclusive education, underpins all that we do. So we have different accommodations for different people. Hopefully in the future, though, we won't need those accommodations, because the world, our buildings, our facilities will all be structured so that people, no matter what difference they are, whether it be disability, disadvantage, or whatever, has access to everything. And I think that was the big hope when technology first came in. I think you mentioned it, Doug, that we hoped that we got justice with that. And in fact, we go back to reality, and the reality has got even bigger, and that's a concern. But we do want to focus on, I always go back to that particular one, because the power differentials in our first picture, They are the ones who are sitting in power making policy decisions that impact universities, that impact economics, etc. And that in itself is continuing to make this wider. We continue to see inherent bias, inherent prejudice, and it's going to take a while for that to be removed. So how do we achieve equity through innovation and virtual learning environments? Well, it has to, whatever you do, it has to grow with what one of his research things just showed, that it doesn't matter what you give them, give teachers or give anyone in the workplace, if their mindset, if they don't have a growth mindset, they're not going to adopt it. They'll keep with the traditional. So we need to actually make it easy for them and guide them through so it works easier. So technology as the class, scenario-based learning we use in everything that we do here. Technology as a classroom, not just in the classroom. We use inclusive practices with all that we do. And we focus on a strength-based approach to learning, not a deficit approach. So what do our students come in with? And we build on from that. And then the designs for future classrooms, the OECD has put out 4 scenarios for future schooling. If you haven't seen them, I'd recommend you go to it. They've mapped out what it could look like, and we're trying to work towards that. But here in the School of Education at Newcastle, we go back to that focus on learning. We deliver and we want to deliver a holistic approach to education. We base that on Bloom's dimensions of learning. We want to look after the mind, the body, and the soul. So everything that we do, we have a very strong physical health and well-being group. We have a very strong civility, social justice piece, and we have quality education. We have the Quality Teaching Academy, which is well known around the world. But to bring all those 3 together, we use technologies. So how do we use technologies to help with psychomotor, with the affective domain and the cognitive domain? What's the use of it? What are the affordances of each that they can actually address each of these domains that we need to teach our students? I think we're in trouble at the moment in education globally because we have only focused on cognition. We haven't actually balanced off the notion of the affective domain and the psychomotor domain. And these have been around for ages, and these aren't just the snapshots of each of Bloom's: cognitive piece, affective piece, and psychomotor piece. Everyone knows Bloom's hierarchy, the cognitive one, but I'd question all of you in the audience and, as to how familiar you are with the affective hierarchy and the psychomotor hierarchy. So our university's really gone back to the basics by actually going back to the basics of learning and really learning about learning so that we can become better teachers. And technology then becomes a tool in that process. So when we're looking at learning, we have to look at teaching. So what and how do we teach in our schools, no matter what we teach, whether it be engineering, teacher ed, whatever degree you're teaching, what and how do we teach? How do we actually talk about the teaching schema, the language of teaching, so that people are familiar with instructional skills, instructional methods, instructional strategies, and instructional models, that the language of learning is embedded in our universities as much as in your case, particularly much as religion, that these things make a part of that we need to, adopt it. So to actually have a full understanding of the teaching elements, because teaching is a complex situation. It's not for technicians, contrary to what the global education reform movement, or GERM, is pushing for us. And I call it colonization of education at the moment, because it's just dreadful. Making teachers technicians rather than actual educators. I'm challenging that. I don't like it. So anyhow, Doug, I think you and I could write something really good on that piece. So we do focus on the teaching and the schematic things, learning the language of the teaching, understanding the theory of teaching, the instructional bits, and also being accountable for the teaching. In the same way, and I think one of the speakers who opened up today focused on research. In the same way we focus on teaching, we also focus on research. Is it purposeful research? What's the language of research that we should actually know about? What's the philosophy behind the research we choose? What approaches do we choose? It's all about choice. And we all know that teacher education or teaching, no matter what it is based on choice. Every decision we make, whether the book we use, the resource that we make, the technology that we use, it's all about choice. And those choices are made from what you believe teaching is and what you believe research is and which research you think is good. So what we've tried to do is look at technology with that same sort of schematic overview and say, well, whether it be teaching or whether it be research, how does technology help? And in many ways, scenario-based learning, I think, is the most appropriate. It's authentic. It takes a real-life situation that we can actually then use your technology for. So when we talk about scenarios, one of the ones I'm doing at the moment, the violence against teachers and the parental violence against teachers has increased, which is not good. So I need to know that my teachers who are exiting university are prepared to cope with irate parents. So we've used immersion technology, which is a virtual classroom, synchronous classroom, to actually give our students experience of being told off by a really angry teacher, the really angry parent. And the students are shattered by that. But then we teach them some skills, put them back into that scenario, and then they can use those skills to actually attend to it better using, personalize it, say, thank you, I know you're concerned. Then you go through situation, action, outcome, talk to them about that and have a solution at the end. So they go in the second time to the virtual classroom to attend to an irate parent, and they're much more confident. They will be able to cope with that better as they leave. So no matter what area that you're teaching, what workplace that you're going into, what scenarios are our graduates likely to be facing, and how can we prepare them for those? And they're usually interactions with a grumpy old boss. But no matter what parent, sorry, is that my voice? Anyhow, so we ask, with technologies, what technology are we going to use? Why are we using that and not just the person? How are we going to use it? Who are we going to use it for, and when? So we have 3 technologies, simulation technologies, I'll show you in a minute, that we use, and I'll explain why. But what technology and scenarios is a choice we make at the start, and then we look at those, as I said before, the learning domains. Are we looking at cognitive, psychomotor, or affective when we use those scenarios? So it's all about choice, continual choice about everything that we do. So this is what we know scenario-based learning fits within the research of situated learning theory and situated cognitive theory. It's got Bloom's fits into that. But it's all about teaching as decision-making. And every decision that you make has got a consequence. We're seeing that around the globe. Because we haven't given teaching the respect we've got, because, just a whole range of things that have impacted teaching. We are now in massive teacher shortage. Indonesia, I think, has got over 1 million teachers short. They'll go into school next year with 1 million teachers short. When we talk about multidisciplinary problems, this is one of those problems, teacher shortage. And so how do we actually attend to that? At University of Newcastle, this is one of the ways that we do it. We're using technologies. If you have a look at the screen, that's the virtual classroom we talk about. Our students practice in front of that classroom, and we don't send them to schools unless they are prepared. We've got lots of articles, from these studies, myself, Rapa, Fashetti, these are all people I work with in Indonesia. We have Neni Mariani up in University of Surabaya that we've been working with. They've been looking at the scenario-based interactions like this between student and student, teacher and student, principal and teacher. You can do whatever scenario you want. You've got avatars who are adults, who are children, who are early childhood students, whole range of different activities. And what the students can do when they actually practice in front of a classroom, other students are watching them and they can provide feedback. So this is the UNESA mob that we actually practiced with last year, and we've done a research paper on how that was received. And it was really good for their language, but also the process of teaching and the language that goes around teaching, the different elements of going around teaching. So that was a a really good experience within Indonesia, and looking at ways to scale that up and building up teacher education consortia over in East Java, which will be a great starting point. These are the platforms. There's different sort of looks and characters, different models around the world. We've chosen immersion and used that because it's probably it's been around sort of longest and was the groundbreaker in technologies at the time, and it's continually sort of improving itself. Provides us a lot, as you talked about earlier, the affordances of technology. So we use that as one of our technologies. But at University of Newcastle, these are the 3 technologies we use, because each of these technologies give us a different solution to problems. The first one, Sim School, has been going around for a long time. It's an American-based program. It's an online gaming program. Each of the characters have information about them. The teachers have to decide on their language, their words, their text that they use, etc. And every time they do those choices, at the end of their interaction, they'll get an AI spreadsheet on their interaction. Oh, and it might say, you spoke to the girls more than boys. You're all negative. You only use low-level Socratic questioning rather than high-level. So it really teaches the soon-to-be teachers about the role of decision-making and the impact and consequences of that. So that's the first piece that we use. Second piece is that one I just showed you in the classroom. We either teach them in the class or meet parents, angry parents or happy parents, whatever. And so that's where they get to practice, rehearse, get prepared for practicums, successful placements. And then the last one, the Sim Cave, is a big 360 room that we can use. We can have videos of rural and remote centres, and we know our schools in rural and remote centres look very different to our schools in mainstream or metropolitan areas. So we want to expose and immerse our students into those classrooms before we send them. And we can link up with internet in that big screen with the principal or someone, a teacher from that school, and generate questions about life living in, those centres. So we've chosen three pieces of technology that our students use to be better prepared to be teachers. Now, there's lots of technologies out there, but these were the 3 that gave us different outcomes and attended to different needs. And I think when you do technology, you really have to make sure that you choose technology to fit the purpose, and it all goes down to the learning. So we've developed in those virtual classrooms what we call the innovative learning environments. The OECD want us to respond to get out of the traditional teaching and learning practice and try something a bit more innovative. It's just the physical layout of the room. It's the virtualness, if you want to include virtual, or in many cases now, getting the students out of the classroom and out bush, and to actually be a bit more engaged in nature, particularly the psychomotor part of it. This is what the 360 looks like inside, so you can expose them to all sorts of things. So for me, pedagogy has to drive the use of technology. Yes, technology could be a saviour, but it's not going to be a saviour if we actually don't, as educators, make the right choices. We think going to scenario-based learning is a good thing because we just pluck out real-life situations and enact those and break that down and get students to practice and rehearse in that and to reflect on it. One of my colleagues here, Peter Twining, and his UK counterpart, Fiona Aubrey-Smith, have just published this book called PedTech, From EdTech to PedTech, and they've used this framework as a starting point so that your value, knowing that it sort of captures everything, and it's saying that your pedagogical back should actually make the technology choices rather than big technology companies telling teachers and schools and universities what to do. We have global technology policies that every country is trying to enforce. How can a country like Indonesia, that is so disparate and geographics and economics, be the same as the UK or US or Australia? We are actually setting up our countries to fail in many regards, and I don't like that, and that's why I talk about that colonisation of education. So to me, it all comes down to learning, and it all comes down to our pedagogical choices for what we use technology for. And Do we use it to remember? This is the cognitive piece, remember. Do we use it to attend to each one of these levels? So if I'm using simulation, then I'm practicing which one of those by putting them in a scenario-based learning environment. Which one does that attend to? It's certainly not low level with remembering. It's actually engaging them and getting them to analyze their approach within the way that they interacted. Now, technologies have been grouped under Bloom's in a range of different things. This is the pedagogical wheel that everyone probably is well aware of. It fits under the ICMR model. Substitution, or do we substitute, use technology to substitute, to augment, to modify, or to redefine? So what Alan's done, he's from Australia, has put all of the different apps into each of those categories, and that's pretty cool. So Alan Carrington from South Australia, and I think he's up to version 7 at the moment, and he's been working on this since the iPads and things came out and apps. Now moving into ChatGTP though, we've now got that same sort of concept, trying to group ChatGTP and all the equivalents into different categories, and that will be shaped. We're going to see more and more of this. So then, teachers can make choices that sort of suit them, I suppose. So technologies, as I said at the start, are changing our learning environments. We have to embrace that change. We have to look and ask ourselves, what scenarios in your discipline or your work would you replicate in a virtual classroom or an augmented classroom? Because no matter what interaction you have, the technology is there for you to do it and to practice those difficult things that we often don't attend to. So I think that's on time. Am I on time?
Yes, you are. That's
Perfect.
Great. Thank you very much, Professor
I'll
Ledger.
just stop sharing that.
All right. That was really, really insightful. And we're glad that we have many teacher peers here, teacher colleagues that perhaps who are already ready with questions. Yeah, hopefully.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I'll try to answer them.
All right. Would like to open 2 questions first. The audience here.
Jangan malu ya.
Yeah, and sometimes they have to, make sure the English is well prepared. So yeah,
okay.
Yeah, but we have a lot of teachers here from not only from Aceh but also from Malaysia. And also from Medan. Yeah, there's so many, and so yeah, that was really interesting, Professor Ledger. When you, that we should incorporate learning domains of learning into technology, and I think it's really it's something very supporting and perhaps enhancing the learning, because we know that learning has to involve not only the cognitive but also the psychomotor,
affective, and the psychomotive side of things. Yeah.
And
mind, body, and soul.
Well, if I may return the favor to Susan. So I agree with you, Sophia. I think the idea of making tech subservient to pedagogy is prudent. But what I really loved was more epistemological. So there was 2 things that I think I heard Susan say that I think are fundamental and overlooked by everyone. And the first was this notion of not making teachers technicians, but really, I think the way she framed it is they're really the leader, where, it's sort of like teacher as leader, which I loved a lot. And the second thing is that all of this is a thinking person's game. So it's sort of like Yoda as the Jedi Master. It's not the lightsaber that makes the Jedi great, right? It's their ability to sort of think. So I love those 2 frames, because I think without those kind of epistemological frames, the technologies are just trivial.
Yeah. I absolutely agree. I knew we were on the same page, Doug.
Oh, we got a question here. So can somebody please help with the mic?
Is it chat or live?
It's here.
Okay.
It's gonna be live.
Yeah, it's live here.
Thank you. My name is Ruminto Subekti from Politeknik Manufaktur Bandung. So,
Hello, Bandung.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for interesting presentation, Professor Ledger. It's interesting about smart SAMR models.
Yes.
What do you mean with redefinition? As you know, in Indonesia, we have a program in vocational education is teaching factory. Yeah, teaching factory. Now it's a program in vocational education. And then, what do you think? What do you mean with redefinition? According to the scenario-based learning, is this definition? Yeah, we redefine the scenario or what? Is my question. Thank you.
I think I probably didn't explain what scenario-based learning was very well, and I apologize for that. But scenario-based learning is any scenario that you can replicate with technology. I mean, I'll give you a good example. In 1960s, Stanford University brought out micro-teaching. And so micro-teaching was replicating a classroom context at a university, and they did it with students, and they brought students to school. And then it was too complicated, too hard to get students to come to university. So then they used their own students, university students, for it. So micro-teaching, it was just practicing teaching in a small time period. So you had 10 to 15 minutes to practice the start of a lesson, the lesson, and the conclusion. And you did it in front of other people, and people reflected on how you went. It was a great, it's been something, one of the most traditional teaching practices that we've done in teacher education. Then when technology came, then they started videoing it. And then we could actually use the videos of the scenario base, which is the classroom. And in this instance, it was a classroom. That was the scenario. And then it allowed us to reflect on the interactions in the scenario. Fast forward to now, we can actually not even use students or university students. We can use virtual reality and avatars to replicate that scenario and provide, and you get a video of that, and you can reflect on it, you can analyze your interactions, and that is a really good use of scenarios. In medicine, they use the scenarios to how to operate on a body, and they do it with technologies and virtual scenarios. In pilots, when they learn to become, get their hours up, they have to actually be good in the simulation rooms. So they're real life scenarios put into a technological platform to practice, rehearse, and get better, and in many cases master something before they actually are released into the real world. So no matter which field or discipline or faculty you are from university, there are some scenarios that just need to be practiced. And so you can decide what those scenarios are and work out which technologies are best placed to do that. Did that help?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the explanation, Prof. Ledger.
No problem. I will make sure I explain that better in my next time I have to deliver talking about scenario-based learning.
Thank you.
No worries.
Are there more questions? Perhaps one more before we proceed to the next presenter.
Can I ask a question from you? Are the teacher shortages bad in Indonesia now? Getting worse?
Is the question for who? Sorry.
everyone there, or yourself. You probably might be in the situation, or if I've got any educators there. Is teacher shortage a major problem? Because this whole talk was about addressing problems in a multidisciplinary way. So how do we address a problem for Indonesia in a multidisciplinary way using technologies?
Anyone?
One of my PhD students, Zaina, who is here today, is doing a fantastic study on this and how to look at technologies to support teachers in rural and remote areas. So I think Zaina's here.
Yeah, Zaina is here and she's ready to answer the question.
Go, Zaina.
Okay. Hi, Sue. I'm here. Okay. Well, the question is about how do we solve the problem by using the technology, multidisciplinary problem. Maybe I'm trying to answer that kind of question in the perspective of the teachers, because me myself is a teacher. And now maybe for your information, Professor Susan Ledger is my principal supervisors. No, I'm doing my doctoral at the University of Newcastle, Australia, and the School of Education. So now I'm in my field work. I'm in the pace of data collection. And as far as I come to the school lately, and I found out, Sue, the teacher in Indonesia, the first thing that we have to know as a stakeholder is to know whether the teacher is ready or not to use or to integrate ICT into their classroom. Because as many studies prove that teacher as the frontliners who deliver the subject matters, the material, the teaching material, play an important role. So it is a pivotal for the stakeholder, for the government to know the teacher's readiness in the ICT integration to make use of technology itself is effective. That's what we are doing now. Looking for the teachers' readiness, how they're feeling, how their confidence, what is the challenges, and what kind of the support that the teachers receive while integrating the ICT into the classroom technology. So I think in the first stage, Indonesia, to be honest, we are still trying our best in dealing with technology into education. And of course, we are still to figure out how the best way integrate technology into education. So we are not in the pace where we have like a simulation or something like that in our classroom, but we are in our early stage
and the work that you're doing, Zaina, is going to be very good for Indonesia because you're focusing specifically on rural and remote teachers in rural and remote areas, and that's going to be significant because that grouping is often not. And when we talk about equity, go back to those 4 pictures, often they're the areas that are left behind because we have our metrocentric policymakers that would have no idea what it's like to teach in a rural and remote area that does not have electricity at certain times of the day. So our education, as Doug mentioned earlier, that gap is just, it is widening with the use of technology.
Yes.
And we need to, politically, we need to actually try to change it. I think Indonesia's done a great job giving everyone, Google accounts, giving everyone an online access to teaching resources. I think that's been and they've made it easier. If you make things easier and provide the sources and the answers for it, it's very helpful.
Yeah, thank you, Sue.
No problems. I mean, I know a lot of my work is done in rural and remote areas. I've lived in rural and remote Indigenous communities in Western Australia. I've lived in West Papua for some time as well, and I lived on Cocos Islands, which is a Malay community. So, these are lived experience from me, and I'm very passionate about that. And I haven't seen a lot of change. And I feel as if, Doug, our wisdom can actually probably start change.
Yeah.
and direct change. And that's the exciting part, and particularly with great academics from Indonesia that are going to lead change within their own countries, and conferences like this, it all helps. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Diana, and thank you, Professor Ledger.
Yeah.
And thank you all audience. And this is a really insightful presentation. I would like to wish Ms. Diana for the smooth and field work, yeah? And you
Yes.
can to Australia soon. All right. Thank you guys. So we'll like to
Thank you.
is there one more questions perhaps before we continue? All right. All right. Thank you very much, Professor Ledger, for your time. I'd like to give you a pause one more time.
Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to our third speaker of the day. We have Dr. Ganga Raju Gada from Department of Chemistry, Nite University, India. So, Dr. Gada, are you here already?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, great. Give me 1 minute to perhaps read some of your great achievements in your CV. So, Dr. Gada is an associate professor in Department of Chemistry, Presidency University, Bangalore, India, from 2022 until today. And he got his PhD from National Sun Yat-sen University, Taiwan, on synthesis, characterization, and study the role of nanoparticles in biomedical and environmental applications. He received Master of Science on Analytical Chemistry from JNT University, Hyderabad, India, on dissertation entitled Differentiation of some Isomic Hybrid Peptides by Electrospray Ionization Tandem Mass Spectrometry. So Dr. Gada has are involved in a lot of oral presentation, conference, and also author publications and many others. So I cannot mention. There are quite a lot of it. So perhaps I would like to give Mr. Gada, without any further ado, 20 minutes for presentations. Please, Mr. Gada.
Okay. Good morning to all.
Morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible.
So here, this is Dr. Ganga Raju. So I just introduce a little bit more. Recently, I joined the Nite University, and also I was appointed as a research professor in Chungyang University, Korea. So I was selected as the brain pool program. That is the top in the world. They will select every year 120 members throughout the world. So I am having around 50 publications with 120 impact factor and around 1500 citations. And also I have written the 10 book chapters. I am also serving as the editorial board member for the different journals. This is a brief about me. So today I'm going to talk about the advanced nanotechnology solving contemporary multidisciplinary issues towards sustainable and inclusive future. Okay, so as of now we have previous speakers have discussed about the sustainability and inclusive features. So now I will give some information how the nanotechnology will resolve this kind of issues. So the worldwide, currently there are a lot of the problems facing. The world is facing a lot of the problems. So which are already discussed in the previous sections. like education, poverty, food, and climate changes. So environmental changes, quality of the education, health, all these things are currently affecting throughout the worldwide. So these things we should have to improve, even the civilization also. So I will give the glimpses. I'm not going much details, but I will give the some information how the nanotechnology will resolve this kind of issues. So I just give some brief information about the nano also. What is the nanotechnology and how it is work also we will discuss, and I will give some real-time applications also how it is utilizing. So can you change next slide? So let us see what is the nanotechnology, why it is so important. So let us see the nanotechnology itself with the two words. One is the nano, it means that extremely small. It means that 10 to the power of minus 9 meters. Okay, so technology, anything, the development is the technology. So basically, we can say that nanoscience and nanotechnology are the study and applications of the extremely small materials. So we will make the material from the nano level. So those things, the properties and everything will change. That's I will explain in the next slide how it is changed. Let us see why nanotechnology is so important. This is the fundamental thing is that size decrease. When the size is decreased, the surface area will increase. Because of increasing of this surface area, the properties, optical properties, mechanical properties, electronic properties, all other properties are increasing. Let us see in this figure, the total surface area of the first figure is that 6 centimeters square. When we break it different parts, we can see clearly the surface area increasing from the 6 to 24. If we break it again, small size, again the surface area is increasing from 24 to 48. So it means that the surface area availability is increasing, the electronic structure is increasing, the optical properties will be increased, the mechanical properties, electronic properties, fluorescence properties, what are the properties always enhance when the size is decreased. This is only the fundamental things about the nanotechnology. All the development is depends on this principle only. If we understand this concept properly, that is the basic thing for the nanotechnology. So it means that if the size is decreased the material, the surface area will increase. When the surface area will increase, the properties will enhance. So we will see some of the examples how it will work out. So here you people can observe the size difference. So the nano material will come 10 to the power of minus 9 to 10 to the power of minus 7 meters. It means that generally we can consider 10 nanometers to 100 nanometers. So in average we will see 50. So if we go, there are the different structures like wires, cables, tubes. That time the surface area may be the size will be increased, the length will be increased, and the width will be less. So this is about the size difference between the other. We can compare that watermelon, virus, and blood cell. If you compare to those things, the size of the nanometers is very less. So this is the just understanding of the about the nano size of the materials. So we can prepare the nano materials in the different ways, like surface functionalization, size, different sizes, different shapes. Porosity means its holes and the different particle size. So based on our utilization, we can prepare the many ways of the material like composition, agglomeration, and surface crystallinity. So different ways we can prepare, and also we can functionalize with different materials. So these are the various types of the material which we can prepare. So as of now, most of the materials utilizing in the nanotechnology is that polymeric nanomaterials and dendrimers, polymeric hydrogels. These are the mostly utilizing in the water purification and hydrothermal, and also liposomes. They mostly work for the drug delivery, solid lipid capsules, and gold nanoparticles, quantum dots, silver nanoparticles, metal nanoparticles. There are varieties of nanometers already utilizing in the technologies. So this material we can also further functionalize with some antibodies, antigens, some other functional groups based on the our applications. Let us see. So I hope you people understand little bit about the nanotechnology. Now where this nanotechnology is applying. So like information technology, energy, like solar cells, fuel cell, battery, biofuels, and medicine. Medicine is utilizing very well. Cancer treatment, bone treatment, drug delivery, drug development, medical tools, consumer goods, technology, advanced packing. So currently, most of the world is facing the biggest problem with the plastic. So now, due to the advantage of the nanotechnology, the people are successfully applying this material in the food packing, bioactive food packing materials, and also textile industry also. So currently, this nanotechnology is applying everywhere in the applications. So let us see in the biomedical, these materials where they are utilizing. If they are using in the gene therapy, drug delivery. Drug delivery means mostly people use for the cancer, but also gene disorders and cellular and also CNC disorders. So these materials are utilizing in the various applications. So let us see the drug delivery, how it is working. Let us, you people clearly observe from the figure, two figures. One figure, current drug delivery system without any nanomaterials. The oral drug what we are taking, we can observe here clearly the drug is distributing different places. It means that there is no targeting, there is no delivery system. So whereas if you see other figure, the drug is reaching exactly to the disease where it is there. This is we call as the targeted drug delivery system. So what we will do, we use nanometer because of the higher surface area, they can absorb the more drug, and we will add some targeting agents that can be helped for the targeted drug delivery. So this is currently people see, if you go for the chemotherapy, people will give the high doses of the drugs, so those will be effect. So and the disease may not be take more time because this is the distribution is there everywhere. But when we use the targeted drug delivery system with the help of the nanotechnology, that can reach specifically the pot. So this is the advantage of this technology in the pot, in the case of the health. So you can observe. Okay. So there is also other developments also along with the drug delivery, imaging system, fluorescence imaging system. In generally, the people will use the dyes for the imaging. Previously fluorescent dyes, but which are very toxic and very problem for the health. So in that case, the scientists are focused to develop the fluorescence quantum dot fluorescence nanomaterials, which can be helped for the diagnosis of the patient. At the same time, the MRI imaging, we know very well, There is a gadolinium, manganese, iron. With these materials, as scientists developed for the MRI imaging for the high contrast. Not only these images, like also CT scan, photoaquatic scan, ultrasonic images. So there are other images tools also the nanotechnology is now utilizing. So here, this is my one of the work. So we have prepared the fluorescence materials from the crab shell, and also we doped magnetic nanomaterials, that is gadolinium and manganese and europium. So we use the hydrothermal microwave system. So this system, by using, we can prepare the nanomaterials within 5 to 10 minutes. In generally, previously the technologies, the people use the long time, like reflex. If you go for the reflex, the synthesis will take almost 1 day. Sometimes it will take more than 1 day also. And some people will prepare the material from the room temperature. In that case, it will take sometimes week also. But the advantage, the development of the nanotechnology, using the microwave, the material we can prepare in fraction of the seconds. So let us see here. So towards agriculture. So previously I have discussed about the health case, how the technology developed. Now I am going to talk about the agriculture. Currently there is a lot of the problems associated with the agriculture. So presently people are focusing to improve the plant growth by utilizing the nano fertilizers, nano pesticides, nano sensors. So then sensor will be help to identify the disease. Now artificial intelligence also the people are utilizing for this sensor application. So this pesticides and nano fertilizer recently the people are focusing. I hope in the future the more scientists will come forward towards to work for the this nano fertilizers and nano pesticides for the growth of the agriculture crop. Yes. So let us see the nanotechnology, whether it is applicable in the water technology, how it is utilizing. Yes, because the water is contaminated with the different kind of the contaminations, like inorganic contaminations, organic contaminations, biological contamination. Inorganic contamination will become metals. For example, if we go for the Japan, there is a very huge for the mercury during the long back. Some disease is there that is happened because of the mercury consumption. The mercury is converted to the methyl mercury. So there is the water purification is also very important. There are the different ways for the treatment of this one. Scientists have developed the different kinds of absorbents, mostly magnetic carbon, which can be removed. For example, in our home also, mostly we use the filter. We can observe that there is a black color, that is the carbon black. So we can use that absorbance and also photocatalysis. This is a similar method is that photosynthesis. So people will be prepare the different kinds of photocatalysts which have the less band gap, which can promote the electron, that can be release the ROS, which will be purify the water, and also disinfections. Also people are preparing, and nano membranes also preparing. So the nanotechnology is also utilized in the water treatment. So there are varieties of the materials utilizing. So I have discussed a few of the example as how the nanotechnology helping the health and water purification and agriculture. See, when I see the nanotechnology, single person can't do anything. It is the multidisciplinary research. Okay, the environmental science, water purification, agriculture, textile, informative, biochemistry, medicine, physics, mathematics. Even mathematics people are also working towards the nanotechnology, biochemistry, biotechnology. So the nanotechnology will be solve the problems by using the other disciplines also. So it's including the all disciplinaries. We can simply the nanotechnology is the multidisciplinary research area. So the conclusion is that nanotechnology is considered the fast growing technology of the current decade. At present, the innovation of this technology are revolving. So in comparison to old traditional water purification technology, diagnosis, food packing, electrical applications, for instance, these areas have been significantly advanced by utilizing the nanotechnologies. So this is about my talk. If you people have any question, please feel free, ask me. If you didn't understand any slide, I will give more clarity.
Thank you very much, Professor Gangaraju.
Thank you.
Please give applause to Professor Gangaraju for a very interesting presentation.
Thank you.
What questions do we have? We are welcoming two questions. Yep.
Good morning. I'm Hanum from Malaysia. A very interesting topic, Prof. Gangaraju. Congratulations.
Okay,
I would
thank
love
you.
to know about the experiment that you have. Why specifically you use a crab shell? That's interesting.
Okay. Actually, the crab shell, why I use that? During my PhD, I have studied some article in the science. It's mentioned about the crab shell waste generation worldwide, especially in the industry. See, in home we use maybe 1 kg or 2 kg, but when we go for the industry, it's a huge amount it generating. So if we see that is the not biodegradable, so there is generate some toxins also. So then I study what is the chemical composition presented in the crab shell prawn cells. Then I find there is the chitosan and also calcium. So then I have converted into those into nanomaterials, and I have applied in the different applications. The publications also published very good publications, high impact like ACS, applied material interfaces, biosensor like that. So is it clear, ma'am?
Yes, Prof. So very specific use crab shell. Okay, thank you.
I work in the many bio waste, not only crab shell. There are the different bio waste. You can refer my Google Scholar by name Gangaraju Gedda. So if you're interested, we can start work together also.
We have
Thank you,
one
Prof.
more questions, Professor. From
Yes.
we'd like to please, or we have it live here. So we'd like to please Professor Zul Fajri for the question.
Okay. Thank you, Jul Fajri.
Yes, okay. Right. Okay, thank you for time. Great presentation from Dr. Gangaraju. I have one question. As we know, in Indonesia, we have a lot of natural product that we use for synthesis of nanomaterials.
Yes.
Also, this is as kind of green precursors, and also we can get a green nanomaterial. So, as your experience and also your reading about nanomaterials, which nanomaterial is now important to synthesize, like a new nanomaterial maybe, or what kind of green nanomaterial we can prepare for future? Because as we know, many nanomaterials have been reported by many scientists, but to know, maybe you have any idea about which nanomaterial, any nanomaterial we prepare in future. Thank you very much for your answers.
Okay. See, let us see. one kind of nanometer will not solve many problems. Okay, for example, if you go for the fluorescence sensor, the material must should have the fluorescence property. If it doesn't show fluorescence property, the material we can't use for the fluorescence sensor. At the same time, if we want to go for the laser treatment like photothermal therapy, photodynamic therapy, the material should absorb higher wavelength light like 800. So in the case of the photothermal therapy, the material should have absorb around 800 NRI. Photodynamic therapy around 500. If the material doesn't absorb this absorbance, what kind of material if you prepare? No use. At the same time, if you go for the photocatalysis, water purification or some electronic applications, electrochemical sensor, the band gap should be less. So when the band gap is less, then only electron can jump. So first we have to fix our target. So this is the one criteria. Another criteria is that what we have to look at is that the toxicity of the material and also utilization of the precursors and also cost effective. These are all the things we have to look at it. Another thing is that sustainability. For example, if we prepare the material very good in this generation, if we can't prepare after 10 years, there is no use. If you prepare the material in the lab scale, it is using successfully. If it is not utilizing in the industrial scale, no meaning. So we can't say one material specifically. But current generation throughout the world, including me, we are focusing on the fluorescence carbon dots. These fluorescence carbon dots successfully replacing many materials. Even the medicinal, now the carbon dots working as the medicine for the different applications. Previously, the technology, they use the nanomaterials, they integrated with the drug for the delivery something. But now currently the carbon dots itself, it is showing the therapeutic application like antioxidants, anti-inflammatory, anti-diabetic, anti-cancer, antiviral. Even the coronavirus also people use for the carbon dots. So that's I can say that is the better application, that better one. Even the carbon dots used for the sensors, even the food packing. So it shows that all the quantum dots which we have, the CDS, PBS, CDSC, the toxic, the carbon dots are already successfully replacing. But there is the one problem regarding the stability of the carbon dot that we have to look at it, because this material investigated during the 2004 only. So still there is a very good scope towards this one. If you people having any specific Indonesia medicinal plants, I suggest you people work on those medicinal plants converting to the carbon dots by using the very less harsh conditions. In generally nanometer preparation, we use the harsh conditions. Better to use the less harsh condition. That can be good way. So if you people need any support regarding that, I am always welcome. Julfajr is very good friend of mine, so we can keep touch in this regard.
Okay,
so I hope the question is clear. Answer.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, you're happy with the answers,
Okay,
yeah?
okay, thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Professor Gangaraju.
Yes.
We have some people wanting to ask questions, but unfortunately, we need to proceed to our next schedule. Thank you very much for your time, Professor Gangaraju.
Bu Septi, mau nanya. Udah habis.
Okay, if anyone having any question can contact me through my email ID and also my WhatsApp. I can answer. I'm very happy to answer, and thank you for the ICMR committee member. My special thanks to Dr. Julfajri. So we are associated with more than 10 years. Thanks to all.
Thank you, Professor. Applause for Professor Gangaraju. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are now on the fourth subsession of the keynote session. So we'll welcoming the fourth speaker. So we have Dr. Azimatun Nur Aizuddin. She is a trained medical doctor. She earned master's and PhD in community medicine. She is a public health consultant and currently the head of International Center for Case Mix and Clinical Coding, Hospital Counselor Tuanku Muhriz. Besides, she also a senior lecturer at Department of Public Health Medicine in Faculty of Medicine, University Kebangsaan Malaysia.
Sailu.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Chairman. Thank you for your kind introduction. So, may I have the slides shared by the organizer?
Hi, Vina.
Lights.
Let's start with the first slides. Okay, as the team of this international conference, so it's actually about the advanced technology in solving contemporary multidisciplinary issues towards a sustainable and inclusive future. So we have heard from the first two speakers is about the educations. Then we also heard about from the third speaker is about the chemistry. So I'm going to touch about the medical or health. So as a public health physician, so I would like to actually look at the medical perspective. So maybe next slides, please. So as you know, healthcare is a very complex system. So it's not just a complex of the building of the hospital, but it's actually a complex of the healthcare itself. So let's go to the next slides. So we can see here the healthcare complexity is actually due to the varieties of tasks involved in the delivery of the patient's care. And when we look at this diagram, we can see that it's actually the healthcare involved is not just a patients and also the community at a home and also workplace, but they also involve the pharmacies, they also involve the primary healthcare, they also involve the healthcare technologies, then they involve the hospital, long-term care, and also social services. So with all this relate with the conversation between individuals, conversation between the patients and also the doctors, conversation between the patients and also the community surrounding them, and also relate with the communications in the system itself, in which that we have the patient classifications, we have the personnel healthcare plan, we have collaborative agreement between the clinical pathway or the patient's plan of the management and also outcome evaluation towards the patient healthcare plan and also towards the clinical governance. So we will look at this complexity of healthcare. We can see that there is a reliance of healthcare providers on one another. So let's look at the next slides. The next slide shows that there is a diversity of the healthcare. Besides, I mentioned just now about the healthcare as a whole, but the patient is also a complex person. So there is a diversity of the patient with their own complexity, in which that the unique diseases. In fact, the diseases of patients, of humans, actually wide range of the emerging and re-emerging diseases due to the contemporary landscape of our global society. So this topic is very relevant in healthcare and in fact relevant to all of us in education, in all aspects of the multidisciplinary team. Okay, when we look at the complexity of the patient diseases, we can see that patients have a disease by itself as a primary diseases, but they also have a comorbidity. They may have diabetes, for example, they have hypertension together with all sorts of diseases. They have infections, non-infections. So with that is actually relate who is going to take care of them. So it's related with the primary care practitioner, we relate with the general practitioner, they relate with nursing that will take care of them. And by the time of age, they will also involve the gerontology. And this multi-morbidity of diseases in the patient will need more and more technologies involved. And in fact, they will give a multiple classic condition, okay, and this will actually involve more personnel. When we talk about the more personnel, this involves the multidisciplinary team. So we look at the next slides then. So when we look at the multidisciplinary team, we can see as a patient in the center, so we have multiple range of personnel involved. So as a patient, first individuals, they will involve in the pharmacy as a direct contact. They will involve with the licensed person that will actually help them in terms of liaison the treatment, for example. And they need to involve the practitioners. And of course, we did not neglect the community nurse that take care of them in the community. It's not just in the hospital. They need to have the home care team, for example, and they need to have the family itself to take care of them as a nucleus, one nucleus, small nucleus. When we look at the bigger perspective, the multidisciplinary team is getting more. Yeah, so in which that we have, in fact, maybe a dementia team or mental health team, for example. And maybe we need to have more disciplines such as physiotherapy, for example, occupational therapists, for example, psychologists, for example, and in fact, a spiritual care, for example, and other more. So this is multidisciplinary team in the healthcare is actually needs to look at how they interact to each other, how they actually can provide the best treatment for the patients. So when we talk about the multidisciplinary, so let's look at what is the contemporary issues that we're going to face in the healthcare. Next slide, please. So as we know, issues that in healthcare is often transcend from the traditional discipline boundaries, and it's very dynamic. And I mentioned just now emerging and re-emerging diseases over the time. And in fact, it's a necessity for us to have a holistic and also integrated approach for understanding, analyzing, and also resolutions of how we take care of our healthcare. And this really require ongoing collaborations and interdisciplinary approach for the effective solutions. So when we look at the next slide, please, when we look at what is the issues, why it's very complex in terms of the contemporary issues is, I listed here 10 important contemporary issues. The first one is actually a climate change. Okay, so we look at the climate change. Climate change is involved rising temperature, then it was an extreme weather. Yeah, so this is actually related with the biodiversity loss, for example, and this really needs multiple disciplines involved: environmentalists, politicians, economists, and also a technologist. So look at the second issue is actually public health crisis management. So in the public health crisis management, we have faced it in 2020 until 2022 about our COVID-19. So we faced the pandemic. So in which that during that time, everybody is so scared about these new diseases. So during that time, you can see the public health physicians start to show their roles. Obviously, their roles is actually about looking at the epidemiology of the diseases, how we actually overcome these diseases, how we tackle with the diseases, with the economic crisis, and etc. So the next one is actually cybersecurity. We mentioned just, we know healthcare is very important, and we know the data of the healthcare is also important. So we cannot neglect the technology in terms of the cybersecurity. So the data of the patients, the data of whatever the healthcare treatment is actually important in terms of to digitalize it. Yeah, so digitalize the healthcare, but we need to make sure this our patients' confidentiality is actually secured. That is, we need to actually back up with our security in the cyber security and make sure that the cyber security threat is actually being managed well. Next next issue is actually energy transition. In the energy transition, we need to look at what is the sustainable renewable energy resources that we can use for the healthcare, for example. And now we need to involve with the environmental list, for example. Energy is also involved economy. So this is another aspect of the issues in healthcare. So doing the healthcare treatment, we cannot avoid from using the energy, whether it's using a technology or it's a traditional, we still need energy. Next is urbanization and also smart city. We know that actually in the whole world is towards this. Yeah, so urbanization. So people is actually goes towards the urban population. So we need to think about the poor people in the urban area. We cannot just say that, oh, we need to tackle the people that's actually poor in the rural. We know people already done many things for the people in the rural, because that is actually the nature of the issues of the poor. But now people start to go to the urban area, and people start to give more and more people in the urban area. So start to have the increased populations in the urban area. This will lead to the urban poor. Yeah, so this another things, and in which that we need to prepare the issues of the smart city. What is the smart city means? We need to prepare everything in the urban that actually give us a good healthcare. Okay, it's not just the transport, but it's also the facility, it's also the environment itself. So the next issue is about the AI. So we just now, the first speaker and the second speaker talk about the AI in education. So AI in the healthcare is also important, in which that we use the AI, how to make decision, for example. So I was discuss further in terms of the usage of it. But the AI, we cannot neglect in the AI how to detect the diseases itself and how to manage the diseases itself. And of course, we need to think about the ethical issue in the using of the AI. Okay, the second one is that the social inequality. So first speaker has mentioned about the second speaker have mentioned about the inequality in equity, for example. So this is also need to tackle. Of course, I understand the Indonesians have very huge country, have multiples of hundreds of islands, for example. These more things they actually need to look at in terms of social inequality. So look at the global economic independence. So we can see this actually globally with the economic crisis, for example. So with the COVID-19, people start to have more and more problems of the diseases and more problems of in terms of the salary, for example. This give lots of the global economic interdependency. In fact, some countries actually dependent on the different countries about the economy. So the next is biodiversity conversion. So biodiversity conversions actually look at the similar to the one that we talk about the climate change, but now we talk about the interactions between human, animals, and also the ecosystem. Another words that we talk about the biodiversity conversation is actually planetarism. Yeah, so in which that we live in one planet. Yeah, so in which that essentially look at the diversity of the biodiversity overall. And not last and not least, it's about the migrations and also displacement. We can see that multiple countries actually involved in these migrations and displacement. People is getting poorer. The environment is actually getting worse. For example, now we know that actually Palestine is having issues of the war. Everywhere have war. Everywhere have also issues of economic crisis, and people cannot live with the climate change, and people start to migrate. So it's not, there is many issues, contemporary issues that involve all this actually make people essentially migrate, also displaced. So from the pictures below, the lowest one shows that how many countries actually involved in this migrations and also displacement. Migration and displacement also involve health, because people is actually poor and people is also unhealthy. They go to the other country and they actually they also not safe in terms of when they travel, and they also not safe in terms of where they go with whatever they want to have, the place they want to stay on later on. So when we talk about how about the issues. We cannot avoid from how we want to use the technologies. So the first two speakers about the how you use the advanced technologies in the educations. So and the third speaker talking about the nanotechnology in terms of also touch a little bit about the healthcare. So I will talk about the subsequent slides about the advanced technologies in the healthcare per se. Next slide, please. So advanced technologies actually play a crucial role in addressing contemporary deflammatory health issues by providing innovative solutions that actually enhance the diagnostic, treatment, and overall healthcare delivery. The third speaker mentions about the nanotechnology in terms of diagnostic and also the treatment especially, but it's not limited to the nanotechnology. So the integration of this advanced technology not only addresses the current health challenges that we face now, but in fact, can give us a foundation to more resilient and also responsive healthcare system in the face of the future complexity that I mentioned before. So let's look at what the advanced technologies that we we have, and in fact, I'll give examples of what actually available in Malaysia, and I know that actually the whole world is actually towards that, and in fact, many other countries, advanced countries, actually have more advanced technology applied. So let's go to the next slides, please. Okay, we look at the advanced technologies that people talk about in healthcare. So we have 10 here. So the first one is a telemedicine. So we look about the telemedicine and also telehealth. So when we talk about telemedicine and telehealth, how we communicate to each other. So in Malaysia, for example, we already have this telemedicine and also telehealth blueprint since 1997. Then 1999, we start to have our total hospital information system, hospital Selayang. So during that time, we already look at this advanced technology of internet communication. So we start to have the teleconference, for example. We have teleconsultation, for example. And furthermore, in the COVID-19, we need because of the close of the hospital, close of the clinic, for example, we need to innovate ourselves with the teleconsultation so that we still can deliver the best of the care to the patients. So we can see here in Malaysia, we also use this, our health information technology in the health IT. It's not just the total hospital information system, we also use in the primary care. So in which that we already have the tele-primary care, and we upgrade our tele-primary care with the TPOCs, or also involved with the oral health system. So in which that people can purchase, or people come to our clinics, they have the data, and in fact, we can actually mobilize our human resource and also our patient by having the data in the cloud, for example. And talking about that data, we look at the whole system as a blockchain in the healthcare. So blockchain on the healthcare, we can see that actually the health system, for example, in Malaysia, we have integrated Malaysia healthcare system in which they actually integrate the whole system. So we have integration with the hospital, with the clinic, and we have a pharmacist and etc. So with that, it's actually link all about the healthcare for the patients. So the next one is actually IoT, Internet of the Things, for example. So Internet of Things is actually using devices. So we know now people is actually using smartwatch. People is using the handphone, for example, and using the handphone, they can detect heart rate. They can even give give their blood pressure to the doctors. So this is what happened. So in Malaysia, we also have that. Yeah, in fact, but of course, we are not fully using it, but internationally is already use it. Yeah, so in which that people is that no need to come to the hospital when they are stable, they can just report their status of healthcare towards their handphone using the IoT. Then the next is AI. So mentions this now is about the AI in the education. So AI in healthcare is not just about detecting the diseases. Yeah, for example, here my PhD student is actually doing the AI of the lung screening technologies applied in the chest X-ray, for example. But we can do more about the AI in the healthcare. So in fact, the AI is also using for the subsequent technology as precision medicine. So in HUM or hospital UKM, we have the Molecular Institute actually using this have a collaboration with UK in which that they have a prime care detecting the DNA of the patients of the diabetic in their what is actually their diabetic treatment, preventive and also their treatment and also their outcome. So that's towards the precision medicine. So we can see what is their DNA shows that they are the risk factors of having a diabetic and what is their risk factors of towards diabetics, towards the nephropathy, for example, towards other diseases, for example, that link with hypertension and etc. So next is actually robotic in surgery. So in Malaysia, we already applied robotic in surgery for laparotomy, for example. We already have applied robotic surgery for the knee replacement that gives us a good outcome in which that patient don't need to have actually long-term of the follow-up, for example. Then next is actually 3D printing in the healthcare. So in which that people actually, the orthopedic especially, so they are doing this 3D printing to actually duplicate or making a new bone, a new joint, for example. And in fact, they use this to ensure it's actually precise number or size of the bone can be applied to the patients. Okay, the next one is actually augmented reality or AR and the virtual reality. So we use this virtual reality. Of course, many actually started to use this for the training. So first speaker and second speaker talking about this AR and VR with the educations. So in healthcare, we also use this for the education. But besides that, we also use for the pain management. For example, people is using the VR, visualize the environment, actually be calm. Then when we do a procedure, they didn't feel the pain. Okay? And another VR and AR use is actually for the patient is actually in the mental health. So how we use the scenario or we use the situation that patient can be calm and reflect back whatever they have problems for their mental health. Last and not least, is actually biotechnology as advancements. So in Malaysia, we also use just now the third speaker talking about nanotechnologies. Yes, we use this nanotechnology in the biotechnology as advancement. So in which that we have here showing that we have the biotechnology center that we actually deliver the knowledge to the community about this biotechnology advancement. That in fact we use this biotechnology advancement in terms of developing the food security for the populations and for the future. I think that is actually the whole technology that we need in the healthcare that actually used to overcome these contemporary issues. In summary, as the world strives for a sustainable and also inclusive future, the role of advanced technology become increasingly indispensable and offering a new paradigm for progress and also fostering a global community equipment to tackle the challenges of the 21st century, especially in the healthcare. So as healthcare is a very complex, involve a multiple disciplinary team, and is also need to have a very complex technologies to overcome the whole contemporary issues. I think that's all from me. Thank you. I invite a question and answer sessions.
Thank you very much, Professor Azimatun. Please give applause to Professor Azimatun Nur Azuddin from University Kebangsaan Malaysia. I'd like to welcome 2 questions. Yeah, we have one person and one more perhaps. Okay. Okay. Please
Okay, Prof. Azimatun, I have one question.
Yes.
Okay, talking about public health, nowadays we face the phenomenon that many children suffer the disease like diabetes, cancer, and many other disease, which is usually this illness happen to older people. So how could we prevent it and take advanced technology in it?
Okay, thank you for the questions. So first of all, I think we need to know what is actually happening. In the public health, we always reflect back what is actually happening. So in public health, we talk about epidemiology, we start to talk about the risk factors. So we know that actually with the contemporary issues in the world, we have facing environment problems, and not just environment problems, we also have food problems, food security. We're talking about food security. When we will reflect back, we need to look at the risk factors. However, some things that happen cannot be actually backdated. Okay, so now we look at the risk factors. When we look at risk factors, something that we also detect by the advanced technology is actually by detecting the DNA. So just now I mentioned about the precise medicine just now. So maybe what we can do is actually looking at the DNA of these children. So what actually caused them? Looking at the risk factors. Another thing is looking at the DNA. What make them actually risk or a higher risk to get this cancer? Of course, we always mention about the food. We always mention about the environment, for example, but we need to also look at their DNA. Although we have the factors of environment and food, but if their DNA is not receptive enough to get a disease, okay, so I think we also need to study that. Okay, so of course, when we look at the DNA, we can go further or inside the rank of the DNA. Then we can see which of the DNA or which factors actually can be overcome. So I think from the public health perspective, we cannot just restrict knowing the risk factors and not doing things with the risk factors. So with advanced technology, we can go further with the risk factors. We can actually look at which risk factors can be overcome and how to overcome that using advanced technology, using our preventive medicine, using advanced technology. I think that's something is important nowadays, not just knowing the risk factors only.
Is the question answered? Ms. Jude? Is they happy? Okay. Oh, we got one more question.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Husna from Public Health Faculty, and I think we met before.
Yes.
Azimatun, earlier you were here in this room too, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I have any question about your tema that we know that any emerging and re-emerging disease is be the global health problem. In your opinion, what kind of advanced technology that suitable for solve the problem of zoonosis, maybe, and what kind of the advanced technology you have obtained that 10 advanced technology is to that we can use in action of promotion and preventive promotion and prevention in the primary care. Maybe that's all I ask. Please, thank you.
Thank you very much for the questions. Okay, so I think my answer is actually going to also answer a little bit more about the first question, for the first questions also. So I mentioned just now in the public health, we actually have this looking at the epidemiology parts. But in advanced technology, we cannot just, as I mentioned in my slides, it's not, we just talk about we as a public health physician. We need to talk about the multidisciplinary team. So besides we as a public health physician, we cannot just say that what is our role, but we actually need to collaborate with others. Yeah. So as answering the questions, actually, as a public health physician, we need to work with the clinician, we need to work with the environmentalists, we need to work with the economists, for example, and scientists and etc. So with that is actually, that's play the role of everybody in the accounting these emerging and re-emerging diseases. What advanced technology that we can use? So we can use many, in fact, yeah. So for example, I mentioned just now for the DNA, precision medicine, for example. But remember, knowing the disease beforehand, for example, emerging diseases, we need to actually use our advanced technology. For example, we use the blockchain healthcare. We can use the health technologies information system, for example, to collaborate in terms of data. Yeah? So we know that actually the data is actually plenty. People is talking about a big data, and big data is not just for the country, but actually to be shared by others. But there is a limit of cybersecurity in terms of what data we need to share. But the surveillance as a public health physician, we need actually to have a good and using advanced technology of the health information system in our surveillance system. Yeah, so mentioned about the blockchain healthcare just now, little more about health information systems now. By having this big data shared with others, we can actually detect early the diseases, and this early detection can also give to other environmentalists and give information to the for example the human side, animal side, for example. I'm also teaching about One Health. So when we talk about the One Health, we talk about the zoonotic diseases. We also talk about the multidisciplinary team in terms of overcome of this these public health problems, emerging and re-emerging disease. Besides that, the next question is actually about how do we use this actually in our healthcare. So the technologies actually help us in terms of making the detection earlier, and even can actually give us a message how to overcome it. And in fact, we collaborate with clinicians. And don't forget the clinician itself, they also have the advanced technology in terms of helping us how to treat the patients, but not forget about our educations. So another things that we can use in terms of advanced technology in the educations of the patients is actually maybe, yeah. So we can also educate the community is using this technology. Yeah. Technology, for example, I know in Indonesia you have cadre. Yeah. So cadre is actually collecting the data for the community. So we can actually help the knowledge, give the knowledge to the cadre actually how to use the advanced technologies. In Malaysia, we actually use, maybe you have apps, for example. Yeah, so we already advancing in terms of our MySejahtera apps during the COVID-19. And we can use that apps actually to get to the cadre actually to enter all the data instead of having a hard copy. So that is a data collection, for example. And in fact, we can deliver our health education to these apps. Yes, we can use whatever scenario. Our first speaker, second speaker talking about scenario based. In health education, we also can use a scenario based in our health educations using our advanced technology. So all this actually is multiple technologies can be used. I hope that actually answer your questions.
Thank you.
Nice, you'll see you all again.
Yep. Thank you very much, Professor Azimatun. That was really interesting. I found actually I have questioned myself, but I think the thing of the big data and the prevention thing is very interesting and thought-provoking. Thank you very much, Professor Azimatun, for the time. Unfortunately, we cannot accept more questions. So we'd like to continue to our fifth presenters now. So
Thank you very much to all. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So we have with us here in this room Dr. Eka Maria Mistar. She is a proven professional faculty member at Chemical Engineering Department, Universitas Rami Mekah, a professional researcher and has written many publications on Scopus H-index, with H-index 13. She already has presentation in both international and national conferences, and has won several research grants from the Indonesian Ministry. Her research interests are activated carbon, adsorption process, biopolymer, biocomposite, and nanomaterial. We'd like to please Dr. Eka for 20-minute presentation.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon all. Selamat siang, selamat tengah hari. Selamat datang kami ucapkan untuk tamu-tamu kami yang dari luar kota, dari Bandung, dari Medan, dari provinsi yang lain. Welcome for our guests from Malaysia. Tahniah sudah sampai ke Banda Aceh. We hope you all can enjoy the conference and everything in Aceh. Semoga selesai. Yang saya hormati Bapak Ibu yang telah berhadir di sini. Okay. So I get the info. We have a little more time. So I want to present the application of activated carbon technology for removal contaminant. So Alhamdulillah, I finished my doctor in this year in Science Malaysia University. So now I want to share and present about my research about 3 until 5 years when I take my PhD. So next. So heavy metal content in different water bodies has become a prime concern. Although certain function as micronutrients or macronutrients for plants and animal, but still their high concentration is a very intensively toxic for living organism. So long time exposure to heavy metal has been linking with severe hazard in the human body due to their cumulative accumulation and non-biodegradable tendency. So as we know, so many waste, especially metal waste in our environment, like copper, nickel, zinc, lead, and cadmium are the most widely used heavy metals in various industries, including electroplating, chemical manufacturing, metallurgy, mining, and tannery. So there are many industries that produce many of metal waste. Next. So activated carbon, what is the activated carbon? Activated carbon is the advanced adsorption material that has been prepared from different raw material, from different organic substance for water treatment application. So the high absorption capacity of the activated carbon is due to the small particle size, maximum internal surface area, and active prevalence. So let's see about now the development of activated carbon. Now I Alhamdulillah, I finished to make activated carbon with nano size. Next. Activated carbon, or AC, offers a high absorption capacity, and it can remove the waste that we want to absorb. AC is porous material acknowledged as an outstanding adsorbent because its large surface area, chemical properties, acidic stability, large total pore volume, and high mechanical strength. And in this synthesis process, researchers carefully select the precursors and method to produce highly quality AC. Moreover, AC can be manufactured from various raw materials. So as we know, there are a lot of that waste that we can produce for precursor or for activated carbon, such as maybe you all of you pernah membaca mengenai activated carbon from rice husk, coconut shell, bamboo. So now everything, every waste we can try to make absorption. So from various raw materials with different structure and origins by prime activating method, physical, chemical, or a combination like physico-chemical method. So there is a three kind of method that we can use: physical method, chemical method, and we can mix of the method like physico-chemical method. Next. This is why we talk about activation carbon. So the activation carbon is a carbon that had activation process. We can activate it by chemical solution. So in this case, this is the possible model of pore development in AC production. So ini mungkin adalah gambaran tentang bagaimana karbon aktif itu diproduksi. Nah, let's see. This is for a myristica fragrans cell. Anyone know? Ada yang tahu apa itu myristica fragrans cell? Kalau bahasa kita itu namanya pala. So this research made activated carbon from pala shell, kulit pala. Nah, so as we know, kulit pala itu berhamburan, abundantly, tidak dimanfaatkan. So it can made for activated carbon. So firstly grinding, and then use one-step alkali activation using KUH, and then activated carbon, and then you can see in the reaction, the chemical process, the chemical activating process, it made a pore in the surface of AC. Nah, it made cracking, and the waste that we want to absorb can absorb follow to the cracking of the surface area. So we can see that it's a reaction, and then it can make the raw material or the AC robust. Nah, jadi bisa dilihat ketika itu sudah kita aktivasi dengan aktivasi kimia, itu akan tercipta sebuah pecahan-pecahan yang menyebabkan lapisan tersebut, si AC tadi memiliki beberapa pori-pori yang tersebar merata. Nah, dari pori-pori itulah ketika proses absorpsi terhadap waste, metal waste itu terjadi. Jadi berikut ini merupakan ilustrasi dari bagaimana pembuatan AC. Next. This is, ada yang tahu? This is SEM analysis. So this is adalah penampakan permukaan karbon aktif di mana sudah terlihat so many pore, and the pore is very distributed to all the surface. Nah, the A figure, we can see that there is not too much pore. The F figure is for the raw material that didn't has a chemical activation reaction. So kalau kita bilang yang A itu merupakan sampel yang kemudian dibuat karbon tetapi tidak melalui proses chemical activation. Nah, sedangkan BCD, the figure of BCD is a carbon aktif yang sudah melewati proses pengaktifasian secara kimia. Next. Nah, same with before, but before AC activation with KOH, but this we activation it with an ALHA. The F figure is for the bambusa before chemical reaction, chemical activation. But the figure of B until D until E is the same of the activated carbon that have a chemical activation. So clearly, as we can see that from the figure A to figure B until E, the influence of the chemical activation is very strange. Next. This is the activated carbon research publication. So many years before, many article about rice husk, palm kernel shell, eggshell, but now many of researchers made a new of raw material for AC like nipa palm shell. Do you ever see? Kalau di Aceh itu namanya pohon nipah yang buahnya seperti kolang-kaling. Itu banyak di rawa-rawa. Nah, shellnya si nipah itu juga keras. Nah, yang diambilkan buah putihnya. Nah, yang diproses jadi raw material untuk AC ini cangkang si buah kolang-kaling tadi, si nipah tadi, maaf. Nah, and then Bambusa vulgaris striata. Bambusa vulgaris itu bambu kuning. Kalau di Aceh banyak, tapi letaknya di sudut-sudut Aceh besar, di desa-desa yang memang masih banyak tumbuh. Kemudian candle nut shell. Nah, itu juga belum banyak yang meneliti. Candle nut tuh kemiri. Nah, jadi itu shell merupakan cangkang kemiri. And then rice husk, palm kernel shell itu sudah lama, shell juga sudah lama. Ah, kenapa activated karbon ini menjadi salah satu metode yang harus kita inovasi untuk teknologi ke depannya? Karena many of publication report that the assay for Nipa palm shell can absorb capacity of mercury was 227 milligram over gram. SE from Myristica fragrance cell, the maximum absorption capacity is 346 milligram over gram. And Bambusa also can absorption capacity of mercury until 312 milligram over gram. So at least many of waste in our country, our province, our district, we can produce it to be a useful thing to treatment our environment. So we have to develop again and again and again. Thank you. Maybe this all I present. I would like to present this presentation, and I hope we have a better future and better world. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Dr. Eka, for a very interesting presentation about activated carbon. So we will continue to our last presenter, Dr. Ditpon Kotata. Are you here, Doctor?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, let me read briefly about your biography. So Dr. Ditpon Kotata is a lecturer at Division of Biochemical Technology, School of Bioresources and Technology, King Mongkut's University of Technology, Thonburi. He got quite numerous publications on bioresources and also received awards and scholarship for varied sources or funder. So would like to give 15 to 20 minutes, Dr. Ditpon, for presentation.
Okay, thank you for your good interviews. Okay, good morning and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the committee to invite me to the keynote speaker in this conference. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Ditpon Kotata. I come from Thailand. Currently, I am the lecturer at the Division of Biochemical Technology, School of Bioresources and Technology, King Mongkut University of Thonburi, KMUT3. Okay. Okay. This picture is my workplace, the School of Bioresources and Technology, KMUT3 as Bang Khun Tien campus. It is the around the rural area of the Bangkok in Thailand. The surrounding around have a lot of the tree by the nature, and we have the fresh seafood restaurant nearby. So if you have the chance to visit here, please go to have the meal with the some of the seafood here. Okay, I would like to talk about my long story about my research. I did the research about the polymer since I was the engineering student. And then I continued to do a research about the biopolymer until I graduated in the doctoral engineering at the Kansai University, Osaka, Japan. And right now I focus on the research on the carbohydrate polymer technology. Okay, first of all, I would like to introduce my research group. My research group is the Carbohydrate Technology Research Group. Okay, we are focused on the research on the relation of the, okay, I will use the pointer first. Okay, our research focus on the relationship between physical chemical property, molecular structure, and functionality of the starch. And also, we do the research about the modification of the starch by the chemical or physical or enzymatic reactions. And also, we produce the dietary fiber and prebiotic from the starch or the agricultural waste. Okay, and we are also have the experience to produce the innovative starch and oligosaccharide products. For such as we produce the invisible fiber prototype product, cassava starch microsphere powder, and the gluten-free cassava sticks and fertilizer spray. Okay, if you would like to know more, my research group, you can put your mobile phone and scan this barcode, or just easy way, you just access the Google and take the carbohydrate technology KMUTT. You can access in my webpage and also the Facebook. Okay, today I would like to discuss about one of my research that utilize the cassava pulp for sustainable food, for the functional food in the title of the utilizations of the cassava pulp for the development of the novel dietary fiber products. I will talk about the production, characterization, and prebiotic potential. Okay, actually, in Thailand, they have more than 120 cassava starch industry. And I think in the Indonesia also have a lot of the cassava starch industry, right? And in Thailand, we produce the cassava starch around 4 million tons per year. For the 1 ton of the cassava starch productions, generate the huge amount of the cassava pulp, around 2.5 tons with the 80 to 70 to 80% of the moisture. The byproduct or the waste of cassava pulp, actually they use something like the animal feed. However, the price is very, very low. And also we could not use all of the cassava pulp to be the animal feed, right? So the remaining or the other parts of the cassava pulp is the waste which concern to the environmental. For example, it's produce the bad smell for the fermentations or make the water pollutions if they contaminate to the water resource. So the retention that this research is, we would like to additional the value of the cassava pulp. Okay, if we consider the composition of the cassava pulp is contain 20 to 30% of the insoluble fiber, such as the cellulose, hemicellulose, or the lignins. Interestingly, the large portion that remain on the cassava pulp is the starch. It is remain about 50 to 60%, depend on the extraction technology for the each industry. So if you can see in the same image, you can see the cassava starch granule that the embed in the fiber matrix that you can see in this picture, right? This is the remaining starch that cannot extraction out from the cassava pulp. And the right table that show the amount of the remaining starch in the cassava pulp from several research. Because of the factory cannot extraction all of the cassava starch out from the pulp. So I have the one idea that to modify them even they still in the pulp. Okay, the starch are modified to promote or they positive characteristics or add the new attitudes. They have the 3 methods to modification of the starch, including the chemical modification such as the substitutions, oxidation, or cross-linking reaction. However, in my research, I use the combination between the enzyme modification and physical modifications of the polymerase, enzyme debunching, and retrogradations. Okay, I would like to a bit introduce the debunching and retrogradation process pass to the principal property of the starch first. As you know, the starch granule have the 2 main compositions, right? The one composition is the amylose, which is the linear chains that connect to the alpha glucan, right? And another component is the base molecule of the amylopectins. Actually, the starch cannot swell in the cold water. However, if you apply the heat, and the starch will more swell until the fully swellings. After that, it will be the gelatinized. We can call this phenomena as the gelatinizations. It means the irreversible loss of crystallinity in the granule. Okay. After that, if you add more the heater, add more the energy and more stirring, the starch will become to starch paste. In this stage, you can debunch it by add the enzyme of the polymerase to debunching the bunch structure of the amylopectins. After debunching, the bunch molecule of the amylopectin will become to the short linear chains, and then I incubate this starch in the cool temperature. The linear short chain will reassociate back to more the crystallized structure, and it will call this phenomena is the retrogradations. The retrogradation is mean the linear short chain of the molecule reassociate back to get more the crystallinity. This molecule is cannot digest by the digestive enzyme. So we can call the resistant starch the one of the prebiotic that right now is very famous. Okay. This is the overall of my research from the start at the cassava pulp that have the remaining starch. I modify them by the pollinase debranching and retrogradation process. After that, the remaining starch in the cassava pulp will become to the resistant starch. We got the product, dietary fiber that including the insoluble fiber parts and also the resistant starch. After that, the obtained product was characterization such as the structural property or the physical-chemical property and also the functional property to know more the property of my products. After that, the prebiotic property was evaluated by the in vitro fermentations. And then we try to test in the animal experiments, evaluate the application potential such as the prebiotic in the boiler chicken feed to determine the body weight gains and also the carcass quality. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the result of my product that I already produced or modified from the cassava pulps. The product of the dietary fibers show the significant increase of the resistant starch and also increase of the total dietary fiber. And the functional properties such as the water holding capacity, oil holding capacity, and swelling capacity also improve compared to the original cassava pulp. Okay, for more characterization that you can see the same image. The starch granule for the cassava pulp, the starch granule, you can see the starch granule image in the fiber matrix. After that, I modify to the debranch and gelatinize and debranch is the granule already destroyed and reassociate back to be the small powder with irregular shape that you can see in the picture. And in the appearance of the product that you can see the product of the dietary fiber show more white color is the important point that we can add in the another food that you would like to eat. And also the confirmed by the color parameter, the show that the product of the dietary fiber show the whiteness index. Okay. Actually, I also have more characterized for the structural analysis. For example, the crystallinity by XRD or the functional property by FTIR or the another stuff, but based on the limited times, I would like to script to the result of the prebiotic. After that, we got the product of the, the product of the obtained product of the dietary fiber. I try to experiment about the prebiotic activity to determine the prebiotic potential of the product by using the prebiotic activity score. Is can calculate from the formula, but don't worry, just know that the high score is mean the better of the prebiotic potential. As you can see in the chart in the green bar, the product of dietary fiber show high score of the prebiotic activity compared to the cassava pulp in every test with the substance of the lactobacillus. After we know in the in vitro test, I did the experiment in the in vivo part. I mix the obtained product into the animal feed at a 1% bench and feed to the boiler chicken for the 6 weeks at the treatment groups. For the control group, we feed in the normal feeds. All of the experiments, we keep the data in the body weight gains and parameter of the carcass quality. Okay, this slide show the result of the weight, body weight gains and carcass quality. You can see in the early stage, the weight in the both of control group and treatment group still same. However, after 2 weeks later, it changed to be the difference. You can see the treatment group is a little bit more the weight gains of the weight of the chickens after more lessing until the end of the experiment for the 6 weeks. And also in the carcass quality, it show significant higher than the control group. So this result suggestion that the product of the dietary fiber is have the prebiotic support to the produce of the sustainable food we can use for the food, and also we can use for the animal feed. Okay. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, you can contact me in email or line or anything. Thank you, Kham.
Give applause to Dr. Dipon Kotata for a very insightful presentation. So we'd like to open 2 questions for this. So we are at the end of the keynote session, and previously we have Dr. Eka and followed by Dr. Dipon presentations, and now we'd like to open questions for both presenters. Dr. Dipon, that was really interesting. So you use cassava to make probiotic for chicken, is that, if I'm not mistaken? Is that right?
Actually, I produce the dietary fiber from the cassava pulp. It's not the cassava starch, but I modify the cassava starch to be the prebiotic and remain in the cassava pulp also.
All right. So I didn't even know that cattle like chicken would need something like probiotic for their food. Can you perhaps explain why you targeting like such things like probiotic to be the products of your research?
Okay, actually, as you know, right now, prebiotic is the functional food, right? The definition of the prebiotic is the substance that probiotic can ferment to add the short chain fatty acid. The short chain fatty acid is very benefit from the body, even the animal or the humans also. So I try to produce the prebiotic to consume to make to be the food of the probiotic in the colon or the peptides in the animal first right now, and the results show that they have the prebiotic potential in the animal feed when I add the prebiotic 1% in the animal feed.
Thank you very much for the explanation, Dr. Dipon. Okay, due to the time, so I'd like to end this keynote session. So I'd like to thank one more time to our 6 speakers who already provided us with insightful knowledge on the theme of advanced technology and sustainable world or sustainable future. I'd like to remind you that you can connect with the speakers if you want to ask further questions. The slides will also be made available to you after the session, and good luck with the next schedule, which is the parallel presentation. Thank you very much, audience. It was lovely to have you in this keynote session. See you again in our next conference, inshallah, in 2025 in the ICMR, the 7th. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Audience, due to the lunchtime, you are now allowed to get the lunch box outside. Please meet the committee. And nanti at 2 o'clock, we'll have the first parallel session. And please refer to the schedule because you can find the room number and everything in the schedule. Anything if you need questions, you need to ask questions, just find the committee will be around. So we wish you good lunch and good time in Universitas Rami Mekah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.